Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into something we've all been through, the sometimes maddening world of online forms and why computers can be so incredibly picky.
You know that feeling, right? You're signing up for something, you type in all your info, you hit submit, and bam, rejected. You swear you did everything right, but the website just won't have it. It honestly feels like you're in an argument with a machine.
Well, it turns out those little red error messages aren't just there to drive you crazy. They're actually the very tip of a huge hidden iceberg, a system that's designed to protect data and make sure everything behind the scenes works correctly. In this explainer, we're going to pull back that curtain. So, our journey starts with the first line of defense, a process called validation. The best way to think about it is like a strict bouncer at a club. Every single piece of data has to get past this bouncer before it's allowed inside the system.
Okay, let's chew on this definition for a sec. The two really important words here are automated and reasonable. Automated just means the computer does this all by itself based on rules someone programmed into it. And reasonable, that's just a way of asking, does this data actually make sense?
So really, validation is just the computer program taking a split second to ask itself, whoa, hang on, is the information I was just handed even remotely sensible? It's a basic sanity check. Is this input logical before I do anything else with it? And to really get how this works, let's go on a quick tour of the most common validation checks that you run into literally every day, probably without even noticing. First step is the absolute simplest one, the presence check. All it does is ask one tiny question. Is this field empty? It's just there to make sure you didn't accidentally skip a box that's required. For instance, when you're buying something, the system can't send you a receipt if you don't give it an email address. The presence check is what stops you and says, hey, you forgot something. It's that simple. Okay, next up is the length check. This one is all about size. It's checking to see if your data has the right number of characters. And you've seen this a million times with passwords, right? Password must be at least 8 characters long. That's a length check. And this little bit of code shows you just how basic it is. The program literally just finds out the length of the password, and if that number isn't exactly 8, it says nope and rejects it. It's just counting. Building on that, we have the type check. This is what makes sure you're putting the right kind of stuff into a field. You know, are you trying to put letters where a number should go or a number where only text is allowed? In this case, the form asks for the number of brothers. The type check is what makes sure you enter a digit, like 2, and not the word to. It prevents a data mix-up that could cause all sorts of problems for the computer later. And then there's the range check, which only applies to numbers. It's asking a really logical question. Is this number within a sensible minimum and maximum? This is what stops you from entering an impossible age or a percentage that's over 100. A student's test score is a perfect example. I mean, logically, you can't score less than 0 or more than 100. This code makes sure of that. It checks if the mark is less than 0 or greater than 100. If either of those is true, you get an error. It's just a simple, logical fence. And believe me, the list just keeps going. There are way more advanced checks, like a format check, that makes sure a postal code or an ID number follows a very specific pattern, or even a check digit, which is this really cool math trick used in barcodes to make sure the number was scanned or typed in correctly. So if validation is all about making sure data is sensible, what happens when the data is totally sensible, but it's just plain wrong, like you made a typo? Well, that's where our second gatekeeper comes into play, verification. Now, verification has a totally different job. It doesn't care if your data is logical or reasonable. Its single-minded mission is to check for accuracy. It's making sure that what you typed is what you meant to type, without any little mistakes. It's the system asking, are you sure this is exactly right? So how does a computer check if you made a typo? Well, it usually uses one of two very simple methods. The first is called double entry. It just makes you type it in twice. The second is even simpler. It's a visual check where it just shows you what you typed and asks, hey, does this look correct? And here it is, the most famous example of verification in the entire world, the confirm password or confirm email box. The system makes you type it a second time. Why? Because if the two boxes don't match perfectly, it assumes you made a typo in one of them. It's not checking if your password is good. That was validation's job. It's just checking that you typed the same thing twice. All right, we've met our two gatekeepers. Now it's time for the main event. Let's put them side by side to really, truly lock in the difference between them. Here is the absolute easiest way to remember this. Validation is the reasonableness test. It's automated, it's about logic, and it stops impossible data, like saying your age is 200. Verification, on the other hand, is the accuracy test. It often needs your help to check for human error, like a simple typo in your email address. One is about logic, the other is about typos. So, why does any of this matter? Why go through all this trouble? Because understanding this one distinction actually unlocks a fundamental principle behind basically all reliable software. In the world of computing, there's this golden rule: garbage in, garbage out. It just means that if you feed a computer system bad, nonsensical data, you're going to get bad, nonsensical results. Validation and verification, they're the powerful tools that programmers use to stop the garbage from ever getting inside in the first place. They are the unsung heroes of our digital lives. So the next time you get one of those little red error messages, you'll know exactly what's happening. And that brings me to a final question for you. Now that you know the difference, what's the most creative or maybe the most annoying validation check you've ever had to deal with?